Well, welcome back all my advanced squad leader friends. This is the 15-minute rule set. Hopefully you've been following along through the series. As we go, we're still looking at the movement phase here of the German player's turn, analyzing all of these defensive rule principles and talking about different philosophies and what we should be doing as the attacker, as the defender, and hopefully it's all coming together here as we progress through this walkthrough. Interesting enough, if you've been following along, you know that I've had to re-record the last part in which the part before the sound wasn't recorded on YouTube for whatever reason. And interesting enough, when I recorded the first time, the German unit that moved up here into K9 was completely destroyed by the attack that the German player did. And the second unit that ended up coming around was also attacked and also was pinned down. So quite a difference in just on how the dice rolls. And that's what makes Advanced Squad Leader kind of a very interesting game, because you just plan for everything you can and you try to follow the rules and you try to do what's best for your units. And sometimes just the dice make the big difference on how the outcome actually happens. In fact, if we were to probably replay this movement phase several times over again, we would probably have a totally different result just upon what happens with the dice rolls and stuff. But anyways, back to last episode, we were able to move a couple German player units up here adjacent to K8 there. And the reason we wanted to do that with our half squads, obviously, is if they take any damage, we want them to be caused on our half squads as opposed to our full squads. The other thing is we wanted to get adjacent to these units because of subsequent first fire. So we've got one unit here in K8 who has final fired, and he has now spent both of his first fire, defensive fire attacks, and his subsequent first fire attack, and he has been marked with final fire. We got the top counter up there who has not yet fired. And the reason we wanted to get these guys adjacent is because of the rule for subsequent first fire, which means that when you go to subsequent first fire, you cannot fire at a unit that has any other allied unit that is closer. And we're going to show you that right now as we're going to activate one of these units in G9. It's time to start moving up some of the big boys and see what we can do with this. So let's get right into it. We're going to activate this unit right here, and we're going to spend 2 movement factors to move it into H9. The Russian player decides not to defensive first fire, so then we will move this unit into I9. And at that point, the Russian player decides to go ahead and use his unit here in K8 and decides to defensive first fire. Let's see if we can leave a little strain of residual firepower around and see if that does anything for him. He's kind of in a bad situation down here. He just doesn't have a lot of units with a lot of firepower, so he has to take the attacks that he thinks he's going to get the best result out of. So he will take this attack because it's within his normal range. He will get his 2 firepower. He will also get a -2 to his attack, 1 for moving in the open and 1 for non-assault move. So we will get a 2 -2 attack. He will roll the dice and see what he comes up with. He rolls a 6-6, which is really, really bad because that cowers him from the 2 column all the way down to the 1 column. And then a 12 result, -2 is a 10, which is still no result. He will leave 1 residual firepower, though. Let's clone another one of these here into this hex. And of course, he will now be marked with a first fire counter. So now that he's marked with the first fire counter, he can no longer choose to attack any unit that has a closer ally unit. So, for example, if this unit here, oops, let's switch these out. If this unit decides to move into here, he cannot fire at this unit because he is 2 hexes away. He has a known enemy unit that is closer. This unit is 1 hex away. so he cannot choose to attack him again. So that gives the German player a great sigh of relief, from these units at least, that they can no longer attack anybody that's going to be... He can move his units up pretty freely until he gets close. And to even put more pressure on the Russian player, he decides to spend his final movement factor and move into this hex right there, which again, he doesn't really want to do, but he has to put the pressure on somewhere along the lines. The Russian player could decide to attack with this unit over in K7, or he could subsequent first fire here with this unit. If he subsequent first fires, that will put a final fire counter on him as well. He will go ahead and do that. He will subsequent first fire from this unit. He wants to keep this one because he has a lot of units up here in the north that he has to worry about. So he will subsequent first fire adjacent. So subsequent first fire is half firepower. You can see he's a 2 firepower, so half of 2 is 1. It is doubled because of point blank fire, so his 1 is doubled to 2. He gets a -2 to the attack again, and we will roll one more time and see what happens. He rolls a 5. 5 minus 2 is a 3. Now that could be something interesting. On the 2 column, a 3 is a 1 morale check. So the German player needs to make a 1 morale check. He has a morale of 8. He rolls an 11, plus 1 is 12. He has failed his morale and becomes broken. We also will leave 1 residual firepower in here. I'm sorry, I also messed up. I just realized it. See, this is what happens when I plan ahead and things don't go as exactly as I want when the dice rolls. This unit here in K8 there, when he did his attack here and he cowered, he would not leave residual. When you cower, you don't leave residual firepower. And not only that, but his firepower went to the 1 column, and half of 1 is 0, so he would have not left any anyways. So yes, that first residual firepower wouldn't have been left. Just caught that. Again, trying to concentrate on moving units and keeping all the rules and following a flow of the game, and sometimes just doesn't happen till I catch it later on. So glad we caught it. So that unit becomes broken. This unit is now final fired, and both of these units have final fired, so we can just remove one of these counters. There we go. So they're completely spent for the movement phase, at least. We'll have to see what happens in the defensive fire phase, which we will see once we complete the movement phase. But he's left a nice little alleyway of residual firepower, as you can see, all over the place. It's only a 1 residual, so it needs a pretty low result. But that's what happens when you only have a firepower of 2 on your little half squads trying to protect a location. More importantly, now for the German player, we are pretty concerned about this nice fire lane the Russian player set up. And we know we want to get some units over across the top because that was our plan this game. But because of our rules that we were using and thinking about and understanding earlier, and what we're talking about here for the attacking player, location. So fortunately for him, he's got a few options that he is going to actually try here. He has his leader in with this unit in J4. That unit there, full squad. It's an elite boxed unit there. And it has a smoke component. So if we can throw some smoke out here into this alleyway, we can move up into this hex and throw smoke into L3 or L4. We can move into this hex and throw it into L4 or L5. So we have basically 3 hexes that we can throw it into that'll disturb this fire lane. Now remember, the firepower, residual firepower left by our fire lane won't be reduced by the attack, but it'll be modified by the die roll modifier, which is a little bit different than residual firepower if you're using a normal squad as opposed to a machine gun, which we looked at earlier. So what we're going to do here is we're going to try to use this unit to throw some smoke out. We have about a 33% chance of this working, and so we're going to try to do that. And the question now is would it be better to put it in L3, L4, or L5? So planning ahead and thinking about what we want to do, if we want to move these half squads down into here, into K6 and J6, we certainly don't need these other units, and we don't know, this could be another machine gun, it could be 2 squads that have really good firepower, could be all kinds of things that could cause some trouble. So I'm thinking we put this smoke into L5 if we can. So this unit trying to shoot anybody down to this location will have a difficult time, and besides that, as we just looked at the rule, if they're shooting through the smoke, it's going to leave 1 column less of residual firepower. So we're going to go ahead and activate this unit in J4. Of course, the Russian player doesn't know what we're up to at this point. But we're going to move this unit into K5. Being in this nice stone building, it gives us a +3 die roll modifier. Really makes the Russian player think about whether or not he's going to waste his defensive first fire attacks into this hex, because he might be thinking we're going to come out into one of these open hexes and then he'll use it. Plus he doesn't get the -1 for moving in the open, so we'll just assume the Russian player decides to hold his fire, and at that point we will then throw out smoke. We will try to throw out smoke. In this case, I'm not sure if we covered this in rules or not, but that 2 above the 4 there is a smoke component. We have to roll a 1 or a 2 to successfully do it. It costs us 1 movement factor to throw it into our own hex. It costs us 2 movement factors to throw it into an adjacent hex. So we will throw smoke into L5. This is spending of movement factors, so at that point the Russian player can redecide if he wants to spend any actions to do defensive first fire or subsequent first fire on this attack, but the attack will resolve first. So in other words, the smoke will come out, and then the defensive player will get to choose whether or not to make his attack. So it's a single dice roll. 1 or 2 would be good for the Germans. A 6 immediately ends that unit's phase, and he can no longer do anything else. So obviously that would be bad. I rolled a 4, so basically nothing happens. We didn't have smoke, couldn't throw it out there, whatever happened. But no bad result, but no good result either. And you can only try for smoke. Each unit can only try for smoke 1 time, so we can't just sit here and spend time after time after time trying it. It was a good thought, and the reason we were thinking that is if we could get this, if we could get smoke into one of these hexes, it would definitely cover this fire lane. You can see such a big difference. If we look at our 4, if we go back for a second here, we have a fire lane of 4 residual firepower here. So we're going to be working on the 4 column here. If we move any units out here, probably going to be coming across here, or maybe up into this little bush and then moving across. We're going to be taking the a -1 for moving in the open or non-assault moving and stuff. If we have smoke here, not only does it cover us and we can move out in the open, because shooting through smoke prevents us from getting the move in the open penalty. So we can, instead of getting a 4 column and a -2 to their attack, so let's just figure 7 is the most common number rolled. If you roll a 7 and you get a -2 to your attack, you're going to be doing a 1 morale check. On the other hand, if we had that smoke out there, the unit shooting, he's going to be getting a +2 because of the smoke. He's going to get a -1 because of the non-assault move, so that ends up being a +1. You can see the difference is going to be a 7. +1 is going to be 8, which is going to be no result. So just by having that one move, having units in the right spot, the right location to do that is quite advantageous if you can do that and have it work. Unfortunately for us, we don't have the result that we wanted. And so now we have to look at our backup plan. Our backup plan, of course, is to bring up one of these other units in the back that has smoke and try again. So what we're going to do is we're going to activate this full squad in what the heck is that? H3, and we have to think about where he's going to go before we move him. If we want to bring him to this location down here, obviously it's going to cost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movement factors. So we're probably going to have to CX this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 to throw smoke is 7. So that's not enough. So the only other option we have is to have him move in the open up this way. Spend 1 movement point, and then 2 movement points for 4, and then throw smoke out there. But of course, if we do that, then we risk having this unit over here rip us to shreds. But that brings up another point. If we do this, as a Russian player, we should be thinking now at this point, we have a fire lane here. They tried to throw out smoke to cover it. They really can't do it. Probably not going to be able to do much about that right now. This heavy machine gun up here has got several options. Being a heavy machine gun, it has a rate of fire of 3, which means if the if the colored dice is either a 1, a 2, or a 3, we'll get to shoot again. If it's a 4, 5, or 6, obviously we won't keep our rate of fire, and that'll be the end of it for us. But he doesn't really have very good options for fire lanes. He does have this fire lane straight down this way, but probably not going to be using it down this way, because if he sets a fire lane this way, then all these units up here just run around the corner and they don't have to worry about getting attacked by him. So as a Russian player, what we're hoping and praying for is we're going to try to get lots of results with our heavy machine gun, just peppering squads as they move around, and hope we keep our rate of fire. We got a 50-50 shot of keeping it, so chances are we can get a couple shots out there. We're going to try and find good opportunities, and of course use them in locations that we think the enemy's going to be going. And there just really is, if we take the units and move them away, you can kind of see that being in this location here, it's blocked there. He does have a slight fire lane going down this way, so he's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hexes there. He's got 2 hexes here. He's got 1, 2, 3 hexes here. He's only got 1 hex this way. He's only got 2 hexes this way. So very small fire lane opportunity for this guy. He's not in a very good position. Probably a better position for him would have been up here in M2 to create a fire lane, maybe up this way, or even in M2 to create a fire lane straight down this alleyway, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hexes. Much better off than 2 hexes this way. So we are going to go ahead and activate this squad. At this point, we're willing to sacrifice the squad for, see what happens, to see if this unit decides to spend his defensive fire attack. We would be more than happy to have him do that, because once he's spent his defensive fire, we have a lot of units that we can pretty much move without having to worry about being attacked with defensive fire. We do have to worry about this fire lane, but getting your opponent to show his hand before you're ready to show yours, obviously could be quite advantageous. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to move a unit up here for 1 move points. Before he moves, he is going to declare a CX. So I'll bring out another CX counter and clone it here. Alright, so he declares, just one of them, please, thank you. 1 movement factor to move in there. Do you wish to defensive first fire? As a Russian player, again, I'm thinking, I don't really want to be wasting attacks on guys. I don't know where he's, I might be thinking he's coming in this building. I don't really care if he comes in that building. Sure, you go ahead. Move here. Now I'm really putting the pressure on the Russian player, thinking, that's a really good attack of opportunity The only issue is if I don't keep my rate of fire, then of course that bad things can happen. Bad, bad, bad. No, he decides he's got to hold. He can't show his hand too quick. I mean, sooner or later he's going to have to pull the trigger, but at this point he is not going to. So he spends 2 more movement factors in there, and of course the Russian player is going to decline. If he's not going to shoot him when he's in the open, he's not going to certainly attack him when he goes into a +3 building. And for the last 2 movement factors, he's going to try to throw smoke. Again, we have a choice in L3 or L4. He is going to choose L3. Not that it really going to matter. The only advantage of throwing in an L4, it would cover this unit, trying to defensive first fire later on in the movement phase or in the defensive fire phase. Could cause him issues with that. And we're once again going to throw it into L4 and see if we can get a dice roll. And we rolled a 6, so this unit is completely done. He's spent. He can't do anything else. And of course he's marked with a counter, which I always forget to somehow do. Alright, so we tried to throw smoke twice. It's failed twice. But we have a plan. We're sticking to it. We're using our units to the best of their abilities. And next time we get together, we're finally going to make the Russian player decide what he's going to do, because we have to see what his game plan is with that heavy machine gun. We don't know what it is. We might be thinking he's trying to set up a fire lane. We might be thinking he's trying to wait to attack the leader. Could be lots of different things. So we've got to try and get him to show us what he's going to do. And we'll see that, hopefully, in the next episode. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time here in the 15 minutes of ASL.